'Twas the week before Buffalo, with excitement so vast. The Jets were all focused, their spirits steadfast. No stockings were hung, but the stage was set right for a Monday Night Football under stadium lights. In Florham Park, the players trained with great might for a showdown against Buffalo on a September night. Quinnen Williams, with a grin, set the tone so bright, saying, "Bless ya, thank ya," with all of his might. Aaron Rodgers, in jest, cannon ready to deploy, sipped on ayahuasca, refining his inner football joy. He said, "Against Buffalo, I'll soar to new heights. With the Jets, we'll rewrite those old tales of fights." Sauce Gardner's chain glistened, a symbol of pride, as he prepared to defend with a fierce stride. Garrett Wilson's quick feet, a sight to behold, promised plays that would make the Bills' defense fold. Coach Saleh at MetLife ran stairs with great flair, preparing his team with relentless air. For Week 1's Monday Night Football, they'd take flight, determined to show they were no longer the same old Jets that night. On the field, Jermaine Johnson, rushing the passer so fast, in a quest for victory that would forever last. With the Bills in their sights, under the stadium's gleam, the Jets aimed to fulfill their Monday Night Football dream. So the stage was set, the anticipation grew for the Jets and the Bills. Week 1, it's true. With Quinnen's blessings and Rodgers' jest, they aimed to prove we were among the NFL's best.
Wow. Let's fucking go.
Thank you. I took a poetry class once in university, so... I tried to make sure I get to reference the important points, get a couple jokes here and there. So, yeah, welcome. This is the Jets Up North podcast, episode 2.
Let's go.
We're excited to be your captains today. My name's Cole. This is my co-host, Adam. Are we cracking our drinks right now?
Let's fucking
3,
crack
2,
these.
1. Oh, fire. So, yeah, we got a couple of topics here today. Right from the... I said from the top so many times in the last episode at the beginning. I was so nervous. I don't know
That's
why.
so funny.
Just start from the top here. But today we're just going to talk about the Jets-Bills Week 1. Obviously, that's the exciting game that's out on everyone's minds on Monday Night Football. Then we're going to talk about some of the matchups in that game that we're excited about. After that, we thought it'd be a fun little story time to talk about how myself and Adam met as two diehard Jets fans. It was definitely like a love at first conversation type thing. And then after that, we actually took the time to do our own season record predictions. And so, yeah, we're just going to go through that as well and kind of just share some similarities and differences. So I was about to say it again, but...
Let her rip, bro.
All right. So Jets Bills Week 1.
Yes,
Adam,
sir.
how I feel like we've been talking about this for weeks.
Yeah.
It's been long overdue. What are your initial thoughts? How you feel going into this game?
I'm excited, man. I've said it on the last pod. The whole world is watching, and that's a lot of pressure that comes with that. But man, is it ever? It's like the best moment to like prove ourselves.
Under the spotlight.
Yeah, dude. Like, you can't really ask for a better Week 1 matchup against the Bills, kind of the final boss of the division after they kind of took over from the Patriots. Man, I'm so stoked, bro.
I totally agree. I think selfishly, I actually really enjoy the Jets playing early on Sunday. So waiting all day on Sunday is kind of going to be tough for me.
Yeah, we talked about
I'm
that.
going to be impatient. Usually, though, traditionally, the Jets would lose, and so then I'm sour, and
Yeah.
and then we mentioned last week about how watching the Chiefs play on Monday night or Sunday night, that's like a different football game. But
Legit.
it's gonna be flipped this time. We get to enjoy red zone during the day. We get to hang out with Scott Hansen, who's Bay, and just enjoy the afternoon of football. Let's hope for a Dolphins loss and a Patriots loss, and then we're going into Monday night looking primed and pretty.
I'm just excited to like sit around all day Sunday. I know you just said like we'll be impatient to watch the game, but man, it'll just be nice to just enjoy football all day. I don't have like a Jets stinker ruining the day. I just enjoy football, and then Monday night, I'm nervous, but I'm also like, what's the word? Like, just
Excited as well.
Yeah, like I'm thrilled, man, that we
You
get
don't
to-
know what to expect. It's going to be
No,
great.
yeah,
But you know,
it's
but like I feel like one thing you can't expect with these two teams that it's going to be a great game. I always felt like the Buffalo Bills were like I hate the Patriots, strongly hate the Dolphins, but the Bills were always like that team where I was like, I'm not upset with them because they
No.
were just as bad as us for
Yeah.
all those years.
And their fans are pretty chill.
Exactly.
Overall.
Bills Mafia, very laid back. And then also, like, we were in the same boat. The Jets drafted Darnold, they drafted Allen, and they were both just buns for years, you know. And unfortunately, we didn't. Our process didn't work with Darnold, but theirs did with Allen. And I never really hated them that much. They were always pretty like classy from what I saw. And so, like, man, like, not you want to beat every team in the division, but Buffalo was one that I hated the least, and so I'm excited for this game.
Me too, man. And I don't think it'll be like a toxic game between our fan bases either. I think it'll be a good maybe a gentleman's agreement from either side to kind of be chill and civil in a way. So if they were to beat us, I know I'm not going to go on Twitter and see like a bunch of shit talking, and vice versa. This is going to be a good matchup between two really good teams. Hopefully we come out on top. Yeah.
So, shifting from the matchup, we actually sat down and kind of put together a couple of matchups that we thought would be interesting to watch. So obviously, there's things like the Jets D-line that everyone's looking forward to seeing, but I tried to pick some ones that were a little bit under the radar.
No, you
more
made some good
interesting
picks,
ones.
yeah.
So, just starting from the top here, I thought the Jets Playmakers versus the Bills secondary. There's a couple of changes coming in from both these teams. You have the Corey Davis retirement that kind of shook things up a couple of weeks back. You also have the Buffalo Bills secondary, who I mentioned this previously, but like their safeties are getting a little bit older. You got Poyer and Hyde, who are still, I think, phenomenal safeties, but they are getting up there in age. On top of that, you have Tre'Davious White, who at one point was a Pro Bowl, potentially All-Pro corner. Coming off an ACL injury, hasn't been himself since then, but still, I think, a really good corner. And then after that, it gets kind of interesting because it's kind of just anyone's game for depth chart as for cornerback too. Like if you go on their website as of today, it was like Dane Jackson, Teron Johnson, and Kyer Elam.
I really like Elam, but yeah, it's kind of murky there. So it's going to be interesting to see how they can handle like a big body dude like Lazard, because their secondary isn't really known for their size either, and I'm so excited to see how Garrett performs. Like I don't know if Trey White is still kind of got it in him, but man, I do kind of think Garrett might dice him up a little bit.
He was dicing him up both games last year. I remember that one play where Garrett ran out of bounds, and remember he got hit late. I forget which one of the safeties hit him.
Didn't he get fined?
He
for
got
that?
fined, not the
for
safety though.
complaining.
Insane.
So
anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I think for the Jets receiving core, everyone knows Garrett Wilson's receiver one. I think I'm kind of excited to see who takes that step up this week one to be that second big option. Maybe it's the running game. Maybe we see a three-headed monster with Carter. I was about to say Bam Knight for some reason. Breece Hall and Dalvin, right? Maybe we see that happen, or maybe one of the tight ends step up.
I think it could be Conk. Like low key, I think Aaron might. So like there will be some games that come where Aaron kind of dishes it out to Conklin.
I think there's going to be a couple games where Conklin is like the top receiving, like in terms of yards in a single game. There's going to be some games where Conklin eats for sure.
Like the loss of Edmonds in the Bills linebacker room, I think removes a little bit of their ability to cover tight ends. Like Matt Milano's a really good linebacker.
Really good.
Like he's unreal, but like I don't know if there's really anyone. Like, they have to focus so much on Garrett and Lazard and McColl and our running backs that, like, Conklin might get, like, a little bit ignored almost or neglected on the defensive side. So he could totally feast. I could totally see that happening.
And Conklin's been around for a long time, and I'm excited to see, like, I always remember him those years with the Vikings, and he was always, like, making plays. You'd tune into Red Zone and watch highlights, and he was always getting sneaky good yards.
He had a few goofy drops last year that kind of angered me, but...
Yeah,
he is reliable to a certain degree.
Agreed. And I think the drops are going to happen everywhere. And I think when you look at drops specifically last year, I feel like some of that does get put blame on the quarterback as well, where the ball gets placed. Obviously, sometimes it'll be his fault as well.
Yeah. You could totally argue. Like, you could totally argue that some of those drops could be attributed to, like, Zach or even Joe Flacco last year. So, I mean.
Or Mike White.
Or Mike,
So then, the next matchup that we thought would be pretty interesting is a classic at this point. It's perennial year after year. It's Josh Allen versus this Jets defense.
Yeah. I mean, you pulled up the stats here on our Google sheet here, and the last Well, if you want to go into detail on this,
Sure.
from the stat me
Well,
thing.
I peeked at Josh Allen's history against the Jets, and it's been nothing fantastic. So he's always going back to even his rookie year. The Jets defense has always given him been a pain in his butt, to say the least. And even looking at last year, his quarterback rating in the 2 games was 46.8, the one that the Jets ended up winning. And on the road, when they lost, it was 86.5. The stats here doesn't account for the 2 rushing touchdowns that Josh Allen had that game. But if you look at it, like in his entire career against the Jets, it's 8 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. We got C.J. Mosley out there for a home opener game against the Bills. Let's hope we can get a pick 6 and he stays healthy this time.
Those first 2 quarters, man.
And we don't have Keir
Greatest
Vedvik
game.
out there kicking field goals, so I think we're
him.
in a good spot. But I think that's going to be exciting to watch. Josh Allen's always a competitor. I think he's not as good as Mahomes, but he's up there with him when it comes to
for sure.
how funny he is to watch.
He's in that. Shout out Theo Ash. I don't think he's going to be listening to this, but he did have a tweet where he was ranking quarterbacks, and one of his tiers was one-man offense. And Josh Allen fits in that tier of the one-man offense, like the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh
Kyler Murray's
Allen,
in
Lamar,
there. Yeah.
Kyler, yeah. But it's also funny looking at these stats of Josh. It really goes to show you how difficult it is to beat your division mates. It just seems like those games are always grinders. And like when we play on Monday night, I have to kind of try to remind myself of that like it is okay if we lose, because division games are so tough. This division that we're in is going to be tough. And it's not like the world is technically or like really falling if we lose to the Bills.
Yep. Jets traditionally lose week 1 games, so I kind of almost am going into it feeling like there is a really good chance that they don't end up winning, which is fine. There's lots of season left. We know for sure that we actually have a good team this year, so nothing to be heartbroken about if it doesn't go our way.
We talked about this. We touched on this like lightly last pod. It's like, this team has a lot of new guys and faces on it. Like, it might take time to gel, and that's okay. Our schedule's so tough at the beginning.
Just got to make it through.
There's going to be growing pains. Just make it through. Come out of it,
Around 500 and we'll be okay.
And then you're chilling. The second half of the season's a lot better after the bye. So.
Yep. Little, I guess, honorable mention before we get to the last one here is that Bills offensive line against the Jets D line. I know I mentioned it earlier, but shout out Michael Nania for this tweet today. The Bills starting right tackle Spencer Brown has a history of not playing too well against the Jets. Across the 3 games against the Jets that he's played in, he's allowed 15 pressures on 125 pass blocking snaps, which is just a pressure rate of 12%. So nothing too fantastic there. He ranked near the bottom in a lot of PFF's pass blocking and run blocking grades. So I think that could be something that the Jets can definitely capitalize on, is that right side of the line. I'm excited to see what the 1v1 version of this Jets D-line looks like. If who obviously you got Quinn in. I think I'd be surprised. I'm unsure about like Carl Lawson on the edge because he's coming off injury, but I think Jermaine is starting.
Dude, Jermaine looks so good. I won't go on a tangent here about that, but he looks so good.
He's gonna be special this year, and so I'm excited to see what that version 1 of the Jets starting D-line is, even though they're going to be shifting guys through. And I think they want to play guys who are like on the same, they want to have a good set of 4 each time, right?
Yeah.
Who play well together and play well off each other. So the last part here for matchups to watch that I have is the Bills pass rush versus the Jets O-line. This offensive line, we saw guys get moved around from guard to tackle to center. It seemed like during preseason we never had a definitive offensive line, but now that the dust is settled and we've gotten healthy, we're sitting here with, we know what our starting left to right tackle are. Yeah. So like, how do you feel about that matchup?
Okay, well, it's kind of cheating because they're missing Von Miller for
huge.
Week 1. Shout out to my boy Von Miller if you're watching. I love you. Anyways,
Adam knows a guy named Von Miller.
Know a guy literally.
It doesn't not the Von Miller, just a Von Miller.
Anyways, I digress. It'll be hard to like kind of judge it because they are missing arguably their best pass rusher, but they still have a lot of talent on that D line, and their overall defense, as we covered in their secondary, they are still talented. There are question marks, but like their defense is. I could see it regressing, but it's still like talented.
We got to see like how they all mesh together with the new pieces, the guys who came and gone, right? You mentioned, I think Edmonds in the middle is huge
he's
for
gone.
them being
That's
gone.
a big loss. And like, so I think
if there's a guy to take over this game, sorry to cut you off.
No,
I think Greg Rousseau.
Oh yeah, he's scary.
He's on going into his third season.
And Ed Oliver too.
Ed Oliver's always been a beast in the run game. So there's still weapons there. Saul in one of his pressers earlier this week is like, without Vaughn, that you doesn't change how you plan for these guys. They still have a great defensive line. So it is nice when Von Miller is not playing you that week. So that's 100%. Definitely a huge plus.
I think it gives Mackay and Dwayne a bit of a breather.
Yeah.
That they don't have to deal with. Like, I'm not saying Vaughn's like a premier edge threat anymore, but he's still Von Miller.
Yeah, even at 35 or however old he is.
So I think the confidence gained from not having to play him, so if that makes any kind of sense, could help us in the long run. Like Mackay and Dwayne might be like, oh yeah, okay, we're kind of rolling now. So I think the O-line low-key might perform decent this game. Like I'm hopeful, but also like cautiously optimistic overall. I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but
I think with this offense, you look at the offensive line, and that's the biggest question mark because it's guys who are getting older, and it's also guys who are coming off a lot of them coming off injuries.
Yeah,
and so that makes you a little bit nervous, but I think I'm pumped. I mentioned this last week. I'm so excited to see how Mekhi Becton does. Finally being healthy. Finally seems like we're focused on moving forward, and he's not rehabbing. He had a great preseason. Yeah. So I think it's going to be a fantastic trench battle on both sides, on both Jets and defense side of the ball.
The game will probably come down. I mean, most football games do, but this game most definitely will come down to the trenches, I think.
Always. Yeah, so those are some of our matchups that we're excited about. And after that, now we want to do a quick little story time about how we met. So we actually haven't known each other for a very long time. I guess before we get into how we met, let's quickly give a quick rundown on how we became Jets fans.
Right, yeah.
Adam, you take it away first?
Yeah, so I remember when I was a youth, before elementary school started, I would always tune into the NFL Network. And I would watch for like 45 minutes before class started. That was like my thing. Even though I didn't even know like names or what was happening, really. I was just kind of like overseeing the league, I guess. And I didn't have a team at the time. I grew up like a Randy Moss fan. I wasn't like officially a Patriots fan, but like I had a few friends who were, which is cursed.
Close call. Alternate universe, you're a Patriots fan.
Yeah, I'm so thankful I didn't go down that road. And then I danced with the Cardinals for a little while. I had a Larry Fitzgerald jersey.
During the Gase era, right?
No, well, I did almost during the Gase era.
I remember we discussed this.
Yeah, but this was when I was like, I don't even know. I would have been like 12. I owned a Larry Fitzgerald jersey. And yeah, like I danced with the Larry
Fitzgerald jersey.
Which is so funny. Like, I mean, it's a sick jersey, dude. Like, legendary
the Super
player.
Bowl with the patch on
it. Dude. Oh, that's sick, actually. I didn't know that. That's so tight. Anyways, I was watching NFL Network one morning. And Revis had just ended his holdout, and they were showing like the Hard Knocks clips, and it was kind of in that moment. Now there were several other factors, but I don't really have to go into detail on them. I was like a big fan of Madden, and I remember always seeing like Revis was like a 99 overall in there, and I was always like, dude, this Revis guy is like, he's sick, like Revis is the best corner of all time, kind of thing. And when he ended his holdout, I was like cheered. And I was like, yeah. And then that was like the moment. That was like the defining moment. The definitive moment I became a Jets fan. And
insane.
The rest is history. Now I'm here sitting right here with you discussing the team.
Butterfly effect, man.
Yeah, hey, isn't that crazy?
It's awesome. So my story, funny enough, it's the same season. It's just a little bit later on.
Yeah.
I started playing football, around 2010. Well, my older brother, and my dad were huge NFL fans, and so I started learning the game by watching it with them. They're both Texans fans. At the time, the Saints were also really hot teams. That was like up for consideration for me at the time with Breeze and Reggie Bush and those guys. Oh, yeah. And then I couldn't decide. It was like I wanted to be contrarian or whatever. And eventually there was a primetime game. It was Jets-Dolphins in about week 4, I believe, of the season. And the Jets are playing in Miami, and LaDainian Tomlinson has a sweet, I don't know, probably like a 20-yard run on a screen pass or something like that, like a short, not a huge game, but not a little one, good medium size, good chunker. Definitely gets you a field goal that drive, and then anyways, he gets hit or whatever and plays over, and my brother, like, I'm watching it. I don't know what it was that like stuck with me, but then my brother leans over and he's like, "You should be a Jets fan." And I was like, "You know what? You're right. I should be." And it literally just stuck. Yeah. And I remember watching through that season, which was literally the last time we made playoffs, my first season watching the team. And I remember being in Mexico with my family on a vacation in the AFC Championship game, watching the TV on mute because it was Spanish broadcasting. And that third down that Roethlisberger hit to AB to ice the game, literally I couldn't sleep for like 2 hours after that. I just laid in bed, just heartbroken. So yeah, after that but after that I went through all the downs and some of the ups with the Jets. I was diehard. My friends clown me because of the jersey collection, which we'll get to eventually one day. That's for another episode, is the jersey collection curse. But this one, fun fact, is an Elijah Moore that I took the name patch off of. So it's an Aaron Rodgers, blank Aaron Rodgers jersey now. But yeah, so then after that I became a Jets fan. So then now we're going to start off of how we kind of met each other.
Yeah, okay, so some backstory. We met through a mutual friend, our boy Ryan, who might actually come on the show.
Shout out Ryan.
Yeah, shout out Ryan.
Huge Anthony Richardson fan.
Yeah, he's a big Colts boy. So unfortunately, we don't play the Colts this year, but we still want to have him on because he's a big NFL guy.
Huge.
So he can offer like an unbiased perspective, and we can converse with him. Anyways, I actually went to elementary and high school with him, so I've known him for a long time, and I'll just give my side of it, and then you can kind of give your side of it. Anyways, he never told me that he knew just another Jets fan. Like, he always knew I was a massive Jets fan. I've been in multiple fantasy leagues with him. I've watched numerous games with him. We talk NFL like all the time, even like to this day. Like earlier today, he and I were talking fantasy. Anyways,
we watched the draft with him. Yeah,
we watched the draft with him. All this stuff. Anyways. I pull up, he's having a little house party, a little get-together. I think it might have been someone's birthday. I can't really remember. Was it like summertime or was it like fall or spring?
It was summertime. I think it was like the yearly birthday party that they have.
Yeah.
At the pad there.
The pad. Yeah. And I can't remember what Ryan said, but he either came up to me or I was just chatting with him and he was like, "Yo, bro, there's a Jets fan over there. You should go talk to him." And I was like, "Bro, like, why have you been withholding this other Jets fan from me? Do you know how rare it is to like meet another fan of your team here in Canada? Like, it's not a common thing that happens." So I think I went up to you and I was like, "Hey, yo, you like the Jets?" And I was like scared because I didn't know like if you were like a tip
degree, right?
Yeah, like I didn't know if you were a tip of the iceberg fan or if you were like deep under there. So I didn't want to scare him off. So to speak. I didn't want to be like, "Oh, yo, you know this and this and that," and like, so I wanted to keep, play it cool a little bit, just, like kind of like lightly reveal my true fandom to you. And I feel like you kind of felt the same way.
Yeah.
And it's funny,
it's literally like it's a funny comparison because it's kind of like when you're like when you meet a girl for the first time you want to you don't know how much of yourself you should be open with. Mm-hmm. That's how diehard we both were.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't want to you to be like, "This guy's a freak. Like, what's wrong with him?"
He came up to me and just started spewing stuff. Yeah. Like, I don't even know who the hell's Brad Smith.
Yeah. That's so funny, actually.
So yes, basically similar story from my perspective. We're at the party there, and I'm actually sitting. I have another buddy. His name's Damon, who's a Jets fan, but he's not diehard. He's into the team, enjoys, cheers. He has some jerseys. Funny enough, also has a Tomlinson Jets jersey.
That's hilarious.
That's how we met through school. But anyways, we're at the party, and then Adam comes up to us. You're gonna have to the picture that Ryan took of us. You don't see your face. You gotta
pull that up.
Put that right here.
Yeah, well, that's funny. So funny, actually.
And we sit there and start talking, and then I kind of similar to what you said is like you kind of starting to get a feel. So you start with some questions like about specific players, and then you start asking more questions like, "Oh, it's like, do you watch the press conferences?" Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, all of them." Yeah. And I'm like, "Oh shit, like this guy's on my level," and instantly I would say after 5-10 minutes of conversation, I was like, "No, this is my dude."
Yeah, for sure.
And it's been great because we got to experience all of last season together, which was a fantastic season. We watched what games together? We watched the Steelers game, the Broncos game, which we were heartbroken by.
Yeah.
We watched the Patriots game in New England that ended the punt return heartbreaker.
Yeah.
So a couple. I'm sure I'm missing a couple, but It's been awesome. It's pretty spectacular because up here in Canada, it's tough to find people who are as diehard fans as you. I'm sure you could go to Foxborough, New England, and run into throw a rock, and there'll be 5 people nearby who can talk just as much about their team as we do with ours.
Well, another layer to it too is like the Jets were only good for the 2 seasons when we were younger. A lot of the people here in Canada are fans of the teams that were good when we were younger, especially in our age group, like in our demo.
Lots of Seahawks fans.
So lots of Seahawks fans,
Cowboys,
Colts, Cowboys,
Packers, Patriots.
So it's like when you meet a guy who's into the NFL, there's a high probability that they're a fan of like one of those kind of core teams of the 2010s.
Yep.
So meeting a Jets fan is like, I remember one time I was at Tim Hortons going through like a drive-thru, and now for any American listeners, Tim Hortons is a coffee
Dunkin'
place.
Donuts.
Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts. And I saw a dude in a Jets beanie, and I was like so starved for another brother in the war that I was going to go up to him and be like, yo, man, go Jets. But I was like, nah, that'd be kind of cringe. So I'm very thankful I met you.
It's been great. And so then eventually we're hanging out one day, and we're like, man, we should start a podcast. And I like was nervous bringing it up just because I'm like, like what a douchey thing to bring up is let's start a podcast. Yeah. But I think it's a great outfit for us to talk about something we're both passionate about, and hopefully meet more people who feel the same way.
Yeah, we talk about the team enough. Like Cole and I will literally hang out just so we can talk about the team. So we were thinking we might as well like document it and put it out into the world a little bit. So if anyone else who's interested, maybe like where they live, if they also live in Canada and they don't know any Jets fans around them, like locally, they can maybe come watch us and
it'd be great
a little bit.
Totally do like a Zoom call or something.
Yeah,
That'd be
for sure.
Freaking fun.
It's okay. One little tidbit of information, a little bonus to the story of how we met. I knew that you were like a real one, like a real deep iceberg Jets fan, because this would have been like 2 or 3 days after we met. This guy DMs me and he's like, yo, Zach Wilson changed his profile picture on Instagram. And that's when I knew that's when I knew you were like a legit fan. Because I was like,
oh my God.
This guy knows when Zach changed his profile picture. I thought that was so funny.
When he changed to like his bio to like work in silence and like, success be your voice or whatever. I'm like, man, that's bars.
And that right there, I was like, oh yeah,
we have this ongoing joke that the Jets actually hire a guy for their social media captions for all players. So all players go knock on his door and go into his office, and his name's Brad, let's say. Yeah, Brad. And they're like, yo, Brad, can you help me with like a sick caption for these photos? And he always delivers.
Bro, he never misses.
And so then we'll send like a couple pictures, a random like Michael Carter will post the thing. I think Michael Carter would be the only one who does his own, but it's just an example. I think Michael Carter makes a post, and like we'll send it to each other and be like, man, caption guy is in his bag today.
In his bag.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's awesome. We're happy we got to share that little story with you guys. I always love hearing people's stories of how they became fans of their team.
Me too.
If anyone wants to like share that in a on the YouTube or on Instagram, I actually would love to see some of that, because I think there's always cool stories with that. Yeah. A lot of the time it's family and stuff like that, but there's always some cool ones like ours. So
yeah, for sure.
Anyways, so then last topic here today is season record predictions and comparisons. So we both took some time before the podcast today to go through the Jets' schedule and give some wins and losses, just gut feelings of how the season will go.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just kind of. It was literally just. Shooting a shot in the dark, just like how we feel the season will go.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a long season. Injuries happen, things happen. Teams that you expect to be great at the beginning are bad in real life, like Denver last year, and vice versa. Teams that you think are bad are actually really good. So this is just as of September 5th, 2023, how we're feeling. So I'll let you take the floor first and just walk through it with us.
Do you want to go like game by game? Or do you want me to just walk through my entire?
Let's go like half. Let's go to like week 10 or something, and then you go, and then we'll kind of get the second half after that.
Okay, yeah, sure. So Bills week 1, I have us winning.
Mm-hmm. Huge.
Yeah, and then we go to Dallas to play the Cowboys. I have us winning.
2-0. That's crazy.
Then we host the Patriots, and I have us losing, actually.
Crazy.
I know there's going to be some, like, stuff that happens.
Bill's going to do some Bill Belichick things.
Well, not only that, but like every football season, no season is perfect. Even the Chiefs fans have moments of where they're like, oh man, we look human. Like they always go through a lull. It's always early in the season too. And then by like week 4, Mahomes turns into football Jesus again. Anyways, then we host the Chiefs in week 4, and I have us losing. Then we go to Denver. And now this one I've been talking about for a long time. We're going to kick their asses, man.
I think they have too much bulletin board material.
Yeah,
Sean Payton.
They're getting smoked, so I have us winning.
Smoked.
Yeah, they're getting smoked. So now we're at 3-2 after week 5. Then we we host the Eagles. Sorry. And we win. We beat the Eagles.
Wow.
For the first time ever in franchise history, in the regular season, we beat the Eagles.
That would be spectacular.
Then we play the bye in week 7, and we kick the bye's ass.
And we come back healthy.
Yeah, we come back healthy. Then we're in MetLife, sort of at home. We're at the Giants, and I have us. Now, I think this is one of those games where it's going to come down to the absolute wire. And we've talked about previously, I get to go to this game, so I'm super stoked
His
for that.
roommate is a Giants fan, and they've gone every time they match up. So the Jamal Adams strip sack touchdown game,
I saw that. I was like 50 feet away from Jamal Adams doing that. Anyways, I could talk about that for hours. Anyways, I have us beating the Giants in week 8. And then week 9, we host the Chargers. I have us beating the Chargers.
Wow.
And then week 10, I have us... We're playing the Raiders, and I have us beating the Raiders.
That's a 5-game win streak there?
Yes, sir.
Crazy.
So at this point, we're 7-2.
Just like last year. No, we were 7-3 last year. 6-2.
Yeah,
then
6-2.
Then 7.
Then 7. Then 6-3. Then 7-3.
Yeah.
So yeah, after week 10, we are 7-2. I have us at. How about you?
All right. So I'll rattle through mine. So I agree that the Bills win. We beat the Bills week 1. I feel like there's too much hype with the first game at MetLife, primetime game, new throwback uniforms. Rodgers' first game was a Jet. It's a storybook. It's a storybook game where it's like I think there's too much in the Jets' favor going into this. That MetLife is going to be rocking. That defense is going to be electric, and I don't think we lose that game. If we do, it's not the end of the world, but I think we win it. Week 2, going to Dallas. The Jets have beat the Cowboys. I think the last time they lost was like in the early 2000s, but the last time the Cowboys beat the Jets was in the early 2000s, and I think we do lose that game. I think Dallas is year after year. I'm a Dak believer. I think you can win with him, and
they're like always good. You know,
they got CeeDee Lamb, who I think that CeeDee Lamb and Sauce Gardner matchup is going to be.
That's going to be like crazy, bro.
I think CeeDee Lamb. I wanted him coming out that year. I think we took Becton instead, but
I wanted him bad.
Me too. I think so. We're 1-1. I think we beat New England. I think we beat KC because as of today they don't have Chris Jones, and I think that it can literally change their whole, not their whole defense per se, but that's such a huge part of what makes them so good.
It changes the personality of their defense a lot.
And I think it makes the Jets much more easier of a pick that day, especially that they're at home.
That's a good point, actually.
I think on the road to Denver, I agree. I think we beat Denver.
Handily.
Yeah. And then I think we lose to Philly. I think Philly is just such a their team is so good.
Yeah.
I think then there's the bye. I think we beat the Giants, and then lose to the Chargers. I think Herbert is that's gonna be a fun game because I'm a huge Justin Herbert fan as well.
Yeah.
But I do think that like the Chargers are a meme within themselves. Like that's coming from Jets fans. Like there is a thing called chargering or whatever that it happens, right? So maybe we end up winning that game. I think we beat the Raiders. I feel pretty confident. I'm not worried about Jimmy Garoppolo. Or I'm more worried about who's their backup, that rookie quarterback they drafted, O'Donnell. No,
not O'Donnell. We could pull it up.
It'll pop up here. Yeah. The Raiders rookie quarterback, who I think is actually I'm more scared of. And then that's kind of where I'm at for week 10. I'll finish up and then we'll go back to you.
Come back to me. Yeah.
So then I think we go week 11 against the Bills. I think we lose that. I think we split the series with Buffalo. Yep. I feel like that's a very safe pick.
I have that one too, actually.
Yeah. After that, I think we go on a 3-game win streak here. I think we beat I think we beat Miami. I think we beat the Falcons, and I think we beat the Texans. All 3 of those games are at home, and I feel pretty good about those. I think the Falcons can be a sneaky good team this year. It depends on how Bijan performs. I think if they're like a super run-heavy team with a really good defense, they can that makes up for having like a stud quarterback if you can possess the ball and make stops on defense. So then after that, I think we do lose to the Dolphins in Miami. I like that we play them later in the season because the players don't have to deal with that heat that happens on their sideline that everyone talks about, that home field advantage. But I still think we lose. And then I think we beat the Commanders. I think we lose to the Browns. I think we're going to get what's coming to us after the comeback last year, which I'm more than okay with. Like the universe has to balance itself out somehow. And then I think we end the season beating the Pats, and I think we finish the year 11-6 with a wild card experience
I feel like that's
there.
Realistic, and like you're not setting your expectations too high.
I think, but to go extreme diehard fan, I think there's a total chance that we win all these games, but like 2. I think we can go 15-2 and be a first seed, right?
When you have like a top 5, top 3, top 2 defense, you're in every single game. If you don't believe me, go look at the Broncos like schedule last year and like the results of all their games. They lost like every single game was like a 1-score loss, and like their defense kept them in every single game. And I think that's going to be us too, except instead of having, well, it's funny because I was going to say instead of having Hackett and Russ, we have Hackett and Rodgers. But I think with even an average, like even just a slightly better season than last year from Rodgers, like a slightly just
you mean
average.
Zach? Sorry, you said last year. You said
better than Rodgers last year.
Oh yeah.
Like if he puts up those numbers, I think like 13-4 is very realistic.
Yeah,
like 14.
I'm excited to see how this run game is too.
Very realistic. Anyways, sorry.
Second half of your predictions
second
here.
Half of my record predictions here, game predictions. At the Bills, I have us losing. And I wanted to give us like a real down bad moment here.
That's the down bad.
Well, we lose to the Bills, and then week 12 we lose to the Dolphins. So we're really hurting in that moment.
Back-to-back losses.
And then week 13, we beat the Falcons. Sorry, Ritter. But
better luck next year, buddy.
Yeah. And then week 14, we play the Texans, and I have us losing. So this is 3 losses in 4 weeks, and we're like, what is going on?
So the Texans, C.J. Stroud has the game of his career.
I think it could just be like something like we block. You know how we beat the Packers last year? We blocked a punt on them, and we were giving them fits. Like it's just sometimes you play a football game, and just like everything that could go wrong goes wrong. Like special teams goes wrong, you're missing field goals. Dalvin fumbles on like the 3-yard line or something like that, and a Houston player picks up and returns it for a touchdown like that. There's going to be some BS that happens in one game.
And Saul in the post-game presser is just going to be like, turnovers.
Yeah, legit. It's going to be something
killed
like
us.
that. Yeah. But then week 15, I have us beating the Dolphins in their home. Then I have us beating the Commanders in week 16. Week 17, I have us beating the Browns. And then week 18, I have us beating the Patriots, where we finished 12-5.
Nice. So you have one more win.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more optimistic than you, but I did give us like a few down bad moments, like we lost to the Patriots week 3.
Yeah.
Losing to the Bills and Dolphins consecutively.
Nice. Lots of similarities.
It's realistic. In our schedule. You could call it optimistic, I guess, but I think it's realistic.
Maybe we're blinded by bias. I feel like I always am when it comes to Jets stuff. So I try to be
level-headed, so I'm not like disappointed. I guess you could say.
Yeah, temper expectations for sure. No, I think that's great. I'm going to add on to yours. Let's say that week 18 win is that our spot is already secured and like our backups start that game and we beat New England. How spicy would that be?
I think we do because we're so deep.
Zach Wilson's in.
Yeah, Zach Wilson.
Michael Carter had runs.
How poetic would that be if Zach Wilson comes in and just like kicks their ass in week 18 just because he has like no pressure? Like he doesn't have to. Like he doesn't really have to win. He's just playing football.
They're already like the 3rd seed.
And he just like hangs dong on them, puts up like 404 on them, no picks. Maybe he runs one in too.
If that happens, I will say this today: if Zach Wilson has a great game in Week 18 against the Patriots, I will shave my eyebrows. I will pull an Austin Eckler and shave my eyebrows if that happens. You heard it here. It's happening. But it has to be Zach against the Pats in Week 18. But there we go.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, there's the record predictions. I'd love to hear where we shit the bed and where we're wrong.
Yeah, I'm excited to look back on this later in the season. And we could even like give like a 30-second shout to this every episode of the podcast.
We could see which one of us is closer to as the time goes by.
We could tally, and we could maybe do a little gentleman's thing, like a win is a
A
point.
punishment or something.
Yeah,
Like a
little
funny punishment.
Yeah, just something like
Show up in like a Tom Brady jersey for an
yeah,
episode.
like you have to
and
wear something stupid or like.
tough.
I think that'd be fun.
I think that's great. All right, so yeah, that's everything. That was a great conversation.
Yeah,
I
it
really
was.
enjoyed. It's exciting. Week 1 is here.
It is exciting.
I always call week 1 of the football season Christmas morning, but I guess with the Jets, it's like we're waiting for Boxing Day now.
We are, yeah.
But that's okay. Sometimes Boxing Day is better than Christmas. Sometimes you go to Best Buy and the Nintendo Switch game that you were really excited for is on sale. Yeah. So maybe, there's sometimes the good things come to those who wait. So
For sure, man.
my name's Cole. This is Adam. This is the Jets Up North podcast. We thank you for flying with us today. Peace. And cheers.
Cheers.